I really hope you can't hear this fan. Hello! I'm here with a bit of a different, interesting, fun kind of video, I hope, today, which was inspired by a video I saw recently by Chandler from Chandler Ainsley. I will link her channel down below. And she had seen a few videos like this as well, so I'm definitely not first to the game on this one, or even second to the game, probably not even 100th to the game. But basically, Chandler went online and bought a box of, in her case, historical romance books that she didn't know what they were. And they were a complete mystery to her. And she unboxed them. And that sounded really, really fun. And I thought, well, I wonder if eBay in the UK has that kind of thing too. Presumably it does. And, oh, it does. This is a box of 20 young adult fiction books. And I have no idea what they are. But we're going to find out together in this video. This, I think that these are brand new, but I think they're like the damaged copies that can't be sold in stores. So I have no idea what the books are. I have no idea what kind of genres they're going to be in. All I know is the age range, young adult, and that they're all paperbacks, and that there's 20 of them. So this video could be quite long, for which I apologise, but it just sounds really, really fun to me, and I kind of want to see what's in here. Now, I will say that this is 20 books that I haven't specifically picked out, which for somebody who already has a giant TBR and a bit of a book buying problem, not a problem, I just like buying books. It's probably not wise to have 20 books on my shelves that I potentially have no interest in. So hopefully there'll be some gems in here. There might be some books in here that I already have. And hopefully there's some books in here that I really am interested in. But if there are books in here that I have no interest in whatsoever, I will try to be good and unhaul them. I'm saying this dubiously. Let's just open this. I am gonna open it kind of out of frame because it's heavy and I can't hold it up, and it's also got my address on it, and I love you all, but I don't want you to know where I live necessarily. Okay, the box is open. Let's open the flaps. Okay, this is really heavy, which is 20 books. It should be heavy, right? Okay, so I'm just literally going to dive in. I am going to also comment on the quality or the condition, that's a better word, the condition of these books as well. And I should also mention that this box of 20 books cost me £15, which I think is about 18 US dollars. So that's crazy to me. So that's why I'm going to comment on the condition as well. Okay, the first book we have here is Killer Game by Kirsty McKay. And I see nothing wrong with the quality, the condition of this book at all. I haven't heard of it. So this is Killer, and you have all been invited to play, and you should play like your life depends on it. At Kate's isolated boarding school, Killer Game is a tradition. Only a select few are invited to play. They must avoid being killed by a series of thrilling pranks and identify the murderer. But this time it's different. The game stops feeling fake and starts getting dangerous, and Kate's the next target. Can they find the culprit before it's too late? Ooh, I like the sound of that. You guys know I love a competition trope, and this is basically that, but murder mystery. And it sounds a little bit like Nerve, which I haven't read, but I've seen the film a couple of times and I really, really liked the film, and this sounds really good. We're off to a good start. Wow. A good start in terms of the box content, a bad start in terms of my TBR. But we'll just move on. The next one is Maladapted by Richard Curti. A must-read for fans of The Maze Runner, designed to survive, destined to die. This one is like a little tiny bit bent at the bottom corner here and at the top corner. In fact, all the corners are a little tiny bit bent, but otherwise this is really good condition. Actually, I should probably tell you when these were published as well, shouldn't I? So Killer Game was published in 2015 and Maladapted was published in 2016. So still relatively new. Cillian and Tess are caught between two powerful and dangerous factions. What should they believe? Who can they trust? And will they survive long enough to find out? That sounds possibly slightly dystopian-y, which makes sense because it says a must-read for fans of The Maze Runner, which is a dystopian. These are quite dusty. I'm just dusting this off. That sounds interesting too. Okay, next we have Confessions of a Teenage Hollywood Star by Diane Sheldon. Rivalry takes one last encore. This one, a little bit bent on one corner, otherwise looks perfect, and was published in 2005. So this one's a little bit older. And to be honest, this sounds a bit more middle grade than YA. And it's also a sequel to Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, which I think I've seen the film of, but I haven't read the book. But I suspect this is the kind of series it doesn't really matter. I meant it when I said that Hollywood was a spiritual wilderness and that I would only act in the theatre. And I meant it when I said that the war between me and Carla Santini was over forever. But then Hollywood came to Delwood to make a move and Carla got a part. What was I supposed to do? Great actors don't give up. I'll be honest, this one doesn't call to me particularly, but so far we're 2 for 3, so that's pretty good. Okay, the rest of these are packed pretty tight. The next one is Shell by Paula Rawson, and this one has a little bit of a bend on the front cover and a little bit of damage to the spine and the top, but otherwise pretty good condition. Again, this one was published in 2018. Interesting, because I've never heard of this. So this one says, when Lucy wakes up cancer-free, it should be a dream come true. But trapped in a new body and faced with a life she didn't choose, Lucy begins to question whether living as somebody else is really living. And as her new life unfolds, she discovers that cheating death comes at a price. How far would you go to stay alive? So that one sounds interesting. That one gives me The Host vibes by Stephanie Meyer, which I actually quite liked. So that one I'm intrigued by. Next up we have Damaged, Everybody Hurts by Eve Ainsworth. And this is a really pretty cover. It's velvet touch and there's like a tiny little like bend in that back corner and a tiny little bend in this front corner, but otherwise perfect condition. Published in 2017, so again fairly recent, but I haven't heard of it. How can you heal if you can't face your past? Confident, popular Gabby has a secret so terrible she can't tell her family or her best friend. She can't even take pleasure in her beloved skateboarding anymore. And then, one day, an impulse turns to something darker. Gabby has never felt so alone, but then she learns that not everyone has wounds you can see. A searing look at self-harm and acceptance from hugely talented author Eve Ainsworth. And it actually has a trigger warning on the back. It says, warning includes content that some readers might find upsetting, which I like. I mean, they could have been more specific, but there is self-harm in the synopsis, so that's good. It says wildly popular. I've never heard of Eve Ainsworth. She has 2 other books, 7 Days and Crush, but this one sounds really good actually. I love books with mental health themes, so that one sounds great. One thing I will say is that these books do smell a little musty, just FYI. Next one we have is Feral Nights by Cynthia Letitia Smith, which also has a very fun cover. This one I can't see any damage on at all, and it was published in 2013. So this one, when Yoshi, a sexy, free-spirited werecat, tracks his missing sister Ruby, he discovers that she's the key suspect in a murder investigation. Meanwhile, Werepossum Clyde and Human Amy have set out to do a little detective work of their own. Sworn to avenge the brutal killing of a friend, when all three are snared in an underground kidnapping ring, they end up on a remote island ruled by an unusual, even by shapeshifter standards, species. The island harbours a grim secret. One newcomer is about to be hunted, and were-predator and were-prey must fight to stay alive. Book 1 in the Feral series. And it says, Twilight fans will love it. That sounds really weird, and I'm kind of into it. Next up we have What's the Drama? Malibu Bennett by Michelle Gale. And this is another one that looks a little bit more middle grade than YA. This one's a little bit dirty, but otherwise nothing wrong with it at all. I will say they did do a children's box, which is why I'm mentioning that some of these seem middle grade rather than YA, because I would have put these in the children's lit box rather than in the YA box, but that's just me being picky. And this was published in 2014. Fame. How can 4 letters bring so much trouble? Trying to keep my career on track is hard enough. Fitting in with Stefan's impossible. On top of that, Malibu has some ridiculous plan. Us starring in our own reality TV show? Hello, hashtag deluded. Malibu says it's the only way she'll ever be happy again. Ah, I'm so over being a celebrity. But how can I tell her that? Okay, this is very much, well, I suppose it's like young YA, but it's the kind of thing I would have read when I was middle grade. I think that's the distinction, isn't it? So the other one and this one, I would have read these like way before I was a teenager. So yeah, this one's probably not for me either. Next up we have Sophie Mackenzie, The Medusa Project, The Rescue. Interesting cover. A little bit of bending on some of the corners, otherwise looks completely fine. This was published in 2010. I think that this is possibly a sequel as well. 14 years ago, 4 babies were implanted with the Medusa gene, a gene for psychic abilities. Now teenagers Nico, Ketty, Ed and Dylan have been brought together by government agents to create a secret crime-fighting force, the Medusa Project. Since the existence of the Medusa teens became known to members of the criminal underworld, they have been hidden away in a secluded training camp in Spain. Life in camp is hard enough, but then things take a turn for the worse. Ed is blackmailed into using his mind-reading powers, and in doing so, he threatens to endanger the whole Medusa Project. It sounds a little bit like a young adult or middle grade version of Orphan Black meets Spy Kids. So this one's probably not for me either, but it does sound really interesting. Ooh, this one's pretty. What Light by Jay Asher. This is an author I've heard of, I think. Absolutely nothing wrong with this one at all. No damage whatsoever. Published in 2016. And it's got frost and things on it, so I'm feeling like it might be Christmassy. Why put my heart into something fate will only tear apart Christmas morning? Sierra's family runs a Christmas tree farm in Oregon. It's an idyllic place for a girl to grow up, except that every year they have to pack up and move to California to set up their Christmas tree lot for the season. So Sierra lives 2 lives, her life in Oregon and her life at Christmas, and leaving one always means missing the other, until this particular Christmas, when Sierra meets Caleb and one life begins to eclipse the other. So this sounds like a really cheesy, probably insta-love Christmas story, which at Christmas time I will probably be into. Oh, this is why I recognise the name. So Jay Asher also wrote 13 Reasons Why, which I haven't read and I haven't seen the film. The TV show, but my sister has and she really loved it, so maybe I'll hang on to this one and read it at Christmas. Plus it's really pretty. Next up, we have Surfacing. Is There Such a Thing as Too Much Truth by Nora Rayleigh Baskin. I feel like I've heard that name before as well. There's a little bit of, like, I don't even know if you'll see that. A very minor damage on the front cover. This one's really shiny. And it was published in 2013. School swim team star Maggie Paris has an uncanny, almost magical ability to draw out people's deepest truths, even when they don't intend to share them. Her classmates are avoiding her, and even her parents, busy at avoiding each other, have become wary, not wanting to confront the secret deep at the heart of their devastated family. A lyrical and deeply moving story about finding the courage to confront your ghosts, one truth at a time. So this might be kind of magical realism-y, or maybe just straight up fantasy, or maybe just contemporary. I don't know, I'm kind of interested. Ooh, another super pretty book. The Peculiars by Kieran Larwood. Most unusual crime fighters ever. This one, like, very minor damage. I would still pay full price for this in a shop. And it was published in 2012. The Peculiars are a band of misfits trapped in a nightly Victorian sideshow. There's Wolf Girl, Sheba, Sister Moon who can move at the speed of light, and Monkey Boy, ace climber and human stink bomb. But during the day, in a world of child snatchers, grave robbers and dastardly doctors, they solve the mysteries no one else cares about, including why London's poorest children are being snatched from the banks of the Thames. Winner of the Times Children's Fiction Competition, which this is middle grade. I thought it was as I was reading the synopsis, but I do like middle grade. I'm not putting down middle grade. It just has to be a particular kind of middle grade. I think basically middle grade fantasy, not so much middle grade contemporary, but this one sounds really cute and interesting, and I'll be honest, I just love this cover. It's super, super pretty. Super pretty. There are some great covers in here. Next up, we have Chasing the Dark by Sam Hepburn. No damage whatsoever to this one. There's a lot of Chicken House books in here, and if you're wondering what I mean by that, Chicken House is a publishing company in the UK. I don't know if they have it over in the US. And this was published in 2013. This one reads, Mum's gone, killed, oh god. That was a different tone than I was expecting. Mum's gone, killed in a hit-and-run car crash. Her last words, a message for someone I've never heard of. What happened that night? All I've got is a trail of secrets and lies, but am I just chasing the dark? The first in a pulse-pounding crime mystery series starring Joe Slattery, a boy left with nothing, who must uncover the truth of his hidden inheritance. That sounds interesting. The crime is not really a genre that I read a lot of, but maybe I do need to change that, although this one does sound a little bit more towards the middle grade end of things, so don't know. I've been eyeing up the spine of this one. Ooh! The Dark Inside by Rupert Wallace. Do you believe in monsters? So there's a little bit of bending on some of the corners, but otherwise nothing major. Published in 2014, The House on the Hill has been abandoned for as long as James can remember. So when he discovers Webster, a drifter, hiding there, he's instantly curious about the man and what he's running from. Afflicted by a dark curse, Webster is no longer the person he used to be. But there's said to be a curse, and it might just be that by helping Webster, James will find some solace of his own. Together they embark on a journey. Not knowing what they are about to discover will shape them both in ways they never imagined. So this seems like very light horror, maybe? Possibly, again, either the young end of young adult or possibly middle grade. But, as you may know, I am a complete wimp and I don't read horror unless it's, like, for kids. So this might be a good option for me to try and get some more horror, because I did want to try and read more horror this year, but I still need it to be, you know, light. I already have enough nightmares on my own, thank you very much. Okay, ooh, this is an interesting looking cover. I'm not a fan of people on covers, as if like photos of people. This is Debutantes in Love by Cora Harrison, and absolutely nothing wrong. Again, with the condition of this book, published in 2013. Bright lights, dark secrets, and first love. It's 1924. Leaving their beloved Beechgrove Manor to go to London for the season, Poppy and Daisy Derrington know that they must shine as debutantes. Since a girl cannot inherit her father's estate, the sisters have to marry well, or face being left penniless. But it's not money or marriage that interests them. It's music, cinema, literature, fashion, parties, love, everything that is shiny and new. Trapped by the dusty traditions of their class, Daisy and Poppy must choose between family duty and the bright lights of the roaring 20s. So this is like historical fiction, romance, contemporary, which, as you may know, is not something I read a lot of. So actually this might be quite good to add to my TBR to try and allow myself to branch out into that genre more, which is something I'm trying to do. Historical fiction, I mean. Next we have, oh gosh, this does not look like my kind of book. Hero, the incredible true story of courage under fire. Johnson Behary VC with Jim Eldridge. Is this non-fiction? I think this might be non-fiction. Absolutely nothing wrong with this book. Condition-wise, perfect. Published in 2014. Iraq, 2004. Sammy yells my name. I see something out of the corner of my eye, a flash of light and an unholy crash, and something slams into my head. Moments after being hit by an enemy shell, Johnson Behary drove his tank and its crew out of the line of fire, despite a massive head injury. This was the second of two actions that led him to receiving the Victoria Cross, the highest military honour awarded in the British Army. Johnson Behary's inspiring story will lead you from the shores of Grenada to the front line in Iraq, the journey of an extraordinary boy becoming a true hero. Okay, so this is definitely non-fiction and is about war, which is tricky for me at the best of times, especially if it's actual non-fictional war. If you didn't know, I'm a pacifist. I don't think war fixes anything. Not a fan of war. Is anybody a fan of war? Well, apart from Trump, let's not go there. Rail C by China Meeville. Interesting. Again, perfect condition. Published in 2012. On board the legendary mole train Meads, Sham watches in awe as he witnesses his first giant Moldywarp hunt. The savage battle to the death between hunter and mole is just the sort of adventure Sham wanted when he signed up for a life on the open rails of the Rail Sea. When the crew comes across a wrecked train, at first it's a distraction from the excitement, but the impossible and dangerous salvage that Sham finds among the wreckage leads to considerably more than he bargained for. Now he has a secret to keep and he's being hunted on all sides by pirates, trainsfolk, monsters, and salvage scrabblers. It might not be Sham's life that's about to change, it could be the whole of Rail C. That sounds interesting. Not really my kind of thing, probably, but ooh, this is a very interesting looking cover. This one is called After the Snow by S.D. Crockett. I can't really make out what it says on here. I got to think what I'm going to do now that everyone gone, but my head, I got dog on. The dog gonna tell me what to do, the dog gonna help me. That sounds really weird. So condition wise, fine, again, absolutely perfect. And published in 2012. The ocean stopped working before Willow was born, so the world of ice and snow is all he's ever known. He lives with his family deep in the wilderness, far from the government's controlling grasp. Willow's survival skills are put to the test when he arrives home one day to find his family gone. Completely alone, he is immediately flung into an icy journal of survival, adventure, friendship and self-discovery, with only the dog spirit inside his head to guide him. An unforgettable adventure story that will quicken your pulse and chill you to the bone. That actually sounds pretty interesting. Again, it sounds kind of dystopian style, but again, a little bit on the younger end of YA, if not middle grade. We're down to the last three, guys. We're nearly there. All These Things I've Done by Gabrielle Zevin. Quality, perfect. Published 2011. For Anya, love will become a life or death choice. New York 2082. When Anya is arrested for attempted murder, the district attorney offers her a choice: stay away from his son or watch helplessly as he destroys her family. It should be a straightforward decision, except that the DA's son is the boy Anya loves, and her family is at the dark heart of the city's criminal underworld. Anya must choose between love and loyalty, knowing that whatever she decides will have shattering consequences, heartbreak or gangland war that will tear the city apart. Interesting. Next up, Unremembered by Jessica Brody. This one, as you can probably see, is a little bit damaged. There's a rip there, although I half wonder if that was from the packing of this, because it doesn't look like an old rip, if you know what I mean. And there is a little bit of damage on the spine as well. This one was published in 2013. A catastrophic plane crash leaves one survivor, a girl with no memory. Who is she? Where does she come from? Nobody knows, and no one comes forward to claim her. Haunted by a looming threat she can't remember and plagued by abilities she doesn't understand, she struggles to recall who she is. But every clue leads to more questions, and she's running out of time to answer them. Her only hope is a boy who claims they were once in love. Alone and on the run, who should she trust? And what if she discovers that she is safer with a past that stays unremembered? Interesting as well. Again, bit outside of my comfort zone, but you never know. And then the final one is a very shiny gold book, Young Sherlock Holmes Firestorm by Andrew Lane. Condition wise, a little bit bent in the corners, otherwise no issues. Published 2012. Think you know him? Think again. A friend who has vanished, a raging fire, a man who claims to raise the dead. Sherlock Holmes is at a loss. His friend and her father have disappeared. Their house is empty, as if nobody has ever lived there. His attempts to solve the case take Sherlock to Scotland and into an even darker mystery, one that involves kidnapping, body snatchers, and a man who says that he can control the dead. So this is part of the series inspired by Sherlock Holmes, I guess. I mean, clearly this isn't the original Sherlock Holmes series, that's by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, but again, this sounds a little bit on the younger side of young adult, if not probably middle grade. Again, I might be getting confused between what I would have read as a middle grade reader as opposed to what is age appropriate, but I would have put this in the 9 to 12 section rather than in the 13 plus. But that's it. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19 and 20. Yes, indeed. We have 20 books. Not all of them young adult, some of them middle grade, which is fine because I like middle grade too. We have some really interesting stuff in this box and some stuff that isn't necessarily quite for me. So let me know what you thought of this box. Did you find any titles that you're interested in putting in your TBR? Are there any that you would be interested for me to read and review? Maybe I could do a reading challenge reading some of these. If you want that, let me know. If there are any specific titles that you want me to include in that challenge, let me know that too. And I might go through these and decide which ones I want to keep, which ones I want to gift, and then maybe I'll do a giveaway with some of the others. So let me know if that's something you would be interested in. If I do that, I will I'm such a child. If I do that, then I would probably run it over on Instagram. So if you're not following me there, shameless plug, go and follow me. I am trying to post every single day from now on, so hopefully lots of good content over there. And I really enjoyed this. I feel like this was good fun. I've got a lot of footage that I'm going to have to try and cut down to a reasonable length for this video, but I hope you enjoyed it, whatever length it ends up being. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks, bye!